we are going to discuss about the 5 modules, to become a data analyst. Okay. So let me help you. What are the modules you guys will go through? Okay, very quick, and then we'll start with one of the module. In the data analytics course, guys, the first module is going to be the SQL. Okay. Second module, we are going to discuss about Excel. So I'll come to each and every module. Okay. Just have a brief intro about this. Then we are going to discuss the Power BI. Then we'll have the Tableau. Then next we are going to discuss the Python. Okay. Now I have designed this particular data analytics course from my past experience. Now if we have this 5 skill sets, you would be ready to be part of a data analytics field. Okay. So SQL क्या होता है? Yeah, let's say I can write it something like this: database management system, DBMS. Okay, or you can call it as a DBMS. इसमें दो categories होते हैं DBMS. Now DBMS is a old category. Okay, and now the currently trend or currently database management system is relational database management system. Okay, so we are going to have a very thorough understanding about each and every module. We will have a detailed discussion about it. Now guys, let's start with the very first module. Okay, before we jump into the modules, let's have some discussion on the data analytics. Okay. Now guys, have you have any idea about what is data? Do you have any idea about what is data? See, when we say data, data means is nothing but what? Data means you have some collection of information. Okay. And that could be raw information. That could be information just. Okay. Let's say now I'll take you through the history of how you can, collect the data, how you can store the data. Let me quickly share the presentation. Okay. Got a bit idea about what is the data analytics? Data analytics is nothing but you will have some data, you will collect some data, and you guys are going to work on the historical data. So when I say historical data, let's say you have any firm that has collected the data and they just wanted to know what really went wrong, what really went well. Okay. So the first model we are going to discuss, which is introduction to database with a SQL. And now we'll understand the importance of how a SQL is going to play into the field of data analytics. Okay. Now earlier or traditionally guys, we used to store data something like this, and you guys might have, seen such a kind of, data management. Now, if you go to the rural areas or in the government offices, you still find these people are really storing a data in a register today's as well. Okay. So this is how we used to store data in a traditional form. Okay. Now, what are the challenges we have with respect to this particular traditional form? So we have so many challenges. Then people came up with a various technological solution to store the data very effectively. Now, what are the technical, applications or the softwares through which we can store the data? Okay. So let me just go to the next slide and I'll just give an idea about the data we have. Let's suppose, okay, this is the data guys we have. And can you just let me know, are you able to make any sense out of this data? Let's say you have data and that data is not in a structure form, or let's say systematic manner mein data store nahi kiya gaya, right? So if you have a data and that data is not in a systematic, if that data is not in organized form, if that data is not in a structure form, although you have a data, you are not going to make a sense about data. Okay, let's say you have a lot of data on Instagram, you have a lot of data on let's say WhatsApp, you have a lot of data on Facebook, you have a lot of data on any other areas. So how you are going to make sense of that particular data? Now you guys might be doing a lot of comment on YouTube, you guys might doing a lot of comment on the Facebook and everywhere, right? Now, people need to store a data which will start making sense to them so that they would be able to take a decisions which will add value into their application, which will add value into their businesses, or they would be able to do businesses very effectively, very efficiently, always in the profit. Okay, very minimal with the losses. Now, if I just go to the next slide, guys, you'll notice that we have the same data, but we just did a little bit manipulation with the data. Okay, so we have something called as title, and then we have something called as author. Now, if you just have a look on this data slide in which we have a data. Now, how we are storing this particular data? We are storing this particular data into something called as a form, into something called as an organized manner, into something called as a structure manner, or the structure manner. So the moment you guys start, creating a data or collecting the data, and which is a systematic manner, which is a structure manner, it start making sense to you, right? Okay, now what are the ways through which how we can collect the data and then store the data? Now let's say you have a data and you want to store the data. Now what are the traditional applications we have? Now you guys might have heard about these applications like Apple Numbers, like Google Sheet, like Microsoft Excel. What are these? These are the applications, or you can call it as a spreadsheet application, guys. Okay, ये कौन से application है? These are the spreadsheet application using which you can store the data what we have stored in the previous slide. Okay, okay. Let's analyze the challenges we have with respect to this particular spreadsheet application. Now, what are the challenges we have? We have a challenges like, let me just go to the next slide. Now the scale is a challenge. Now when I say scale, guys, now you guys might be aware about the e-commerce giant like e-commerce. आपको e-commerce giant जो है, जो Amazon है, Flipkart है, now Tata is coming into, and there are so many e-commerce website or e-commerce, let's say, video surfing tools. Okay. Now, what is the challenge? Suddenly, their user base gets increased. Let's say we started with a user requirement. Let's say I had only 10 lakh users. Let's say 1 lakh user. Now, such a kind of data you would be able to manage in the Excel. You would be able to manage in the Google Sheet. Now, let's say you have a data which is in a millions user base. Now, these application won't be able to store or won't be able to cope up with such a huge amount of a data. Your Excel start hanging. Okay. Now, when it comes to storing a data in a very, very huge amount, very, very huge volume, these spreadsheet applications are not efficient, are not optimal, are not feasible. That's why this is the one issue. The second issue, we have a frequency. You want to access the data very frequency. Now, everybody has emergency to have a data. Okay, because you cannot wait to have a data, right? If you are waiting for to have a data, somebody else will have a data, and then he will analyze the data, and then he would be able to have a business strategies. So everybody want to have a frequency of data. Every time you want to have a data which is very, very frequent. Then what is another challenge we have? Another challenge is again the speed. We want to access the data very fast. We want to access the data very quickly. Okay, these are the limitations with these spreadsheet applications. Now, which are the applications which will overcome the problem we have associated with this spreadsheet application? Now, let's have a look on the solutions which will help us to overcome these many challenges. I have put it very simple. I have put it very clear. What is database? A collection of what? Data. And then you will find a keyword or a key term in this particular definition. You have a collection of a data, or you have a data organized for what? Creating, reading, updating, and deleting. You guys are going to organize data for a reading purpose, updating purpose, and deleting purpose. Okay, is it clear what is database? A database is nothing but a collection of data organized for creating, reading, updating, and deleting the records from a table. Okay, so when I say a data is going to be an organized form, guys, when I say data is going to be an organized form, it means I'm going to store data in a table form. Okay, now the table will have a structure, one which is we called as a row, second we called it as a column. Okay, so if you have stored the data, you will also find the table form structure in the Excel. So it is a collection of data you guys are going to organize to create, read, update, and delete. Now let's see how we can manage the database. Let's say you want to create the database and you want to manage the data which is in very huge volume. Let's say you have 20 lakh users of data, 30 lakh users, 50 lakh, and so on. Now let's have a solution which is called as the database management system. You guys might have heard very often when you might be learning your curriculum or the graduation में आपने at least सुना तो होगा at least, right? So database management system क्या होता है guys? So when you just heard a term system, so when we say system, system का मतलब क्या है? It is a software, it is a tool, or it is an application. Database management system is nothing but a software or an application or a tool using which or via which you can have an interaction with the database. Now, when I say interaction, it means we want to have a communication with the database. Now, why we want to have a communication? Because there might be a need that I want to insert one more record. There might be a need that I want to update an existing record. There might be a need wherein I need to delete an existing record. Okay. So if you want to manage your database very effectively, you need nothing but a software which is called as a database management software, or you can call it as a database management system. Is it clear what is database management system? येते सगळ्यांच्या लक्षात? डेटाबेस मॅनेजमेंट सिस्टम म्हणजे असं एक सॉफ्टवेअर आहे गाईस, त्याचा वापर करून तुम्ही काय करू शकता, तुम्ही जो डेटाबेस क्रिएट केलेला आहे त्या डेटाबेस सोबत तुम्ही इंटरॅक्शन करू शकता. नाव डेटाबेस सोबत काय इंटरॅक्शन करायचं आणि कशासाठी इंटरॅक्शन करायचं, तर आपल्याला डेटा इन्सर्ट करायचा आहे, आपल्याला डेटा अपडेट करायचा आहे, आपल्याला डेटा डिलीट करायचा आहे, आपल्याला डेटाबेस मधनं काहीतरी डेटा घ्यायचा आहे काढून. ओके, सो वी नीड व्हॉट, database management system. Now let's see what are the database management systems we have. We have so many database management systems when you just have a look into the market. Now the very popular you guys might have heard, which is called as a MySQL. Second, you might have heard Oracle. Third, you might have heard PostgreSQL. Fourth, you might have heard the SQLite 3. Okay. Now these are what? These are the database management system or the database management software. Using this software, you would be able to manage your data very effectively. Okay, very efficiently. Is it clear, everybody? Database management system is a software by which you can have interactions with the databases. Now, how we can create the data, or let's say how we are going to create the database, how we are going to delete the database, and so many. Then comes the role of a language called as a SQL, right? Now, what is a SQL? SQL is nothing but a language, as we have a languages like Marathi, Hindi, English, okay, and so on. So similarly, SQL is also a language via which you can create, you can read, you can update, and or you can delete a data in a database. ठीक है? SQL का क्या full form होता है? Which is nothing but a structure query language, a language via which you can create, you can read, you can update, and you can delete a data from a database or in a database. Okay. Now, why we need this particular language? What is the need of this particular language? Now, let's have some of the questions so that you will get a clear idea about why we need this particular language, right? Let me just take you through the next slide so that you'll get to know why we need a SQL language. Okay, now you have a data and you have very huge data. and you just want to have a very specific information from a data. What do you need? You just need a very specific information about what? Data. So in such a cases, guys, what you are going to do is you are going to query the data. Now let me help you to understand what is querying basically. Querying is nothing but asking a questions to a database. Okay. Now how you can ask a question to a database? You can ask a question to a database using a SQL language. Let's say you have this particular question. Let's say you have a data. Just imagine that you have a data of, let's say, any application like Instagram का data है आपके पास, okay? And you want to know what is the most like post on our platform, let's say Instagram. Yeah, you talk about LinkedIn. Yeah, you talk about YouTube. Now, how you will come to know this answer? Okay, how you are going to have answer for this particular question. Now, to have answer for this particular question, you are going to do a query to a database. क्या करोगे आप लोग? डेटा को क्वेरी पूछोगे. सो यू विल बी हैविंग अ डेटाबेस, उसमें पूरा इंफॉर्मेशन सेव रहेगा. नाउ you have a users on Instagram, millions of users you have. Now every reel, every post, okay, it will get stored into the database. Okay, and every likes, every dislikes, every comment is being stored into databases. And if I want to have answer for this, I'm just going to have a SQL query. Okay, making sense? Let's say I have this particular question again. Is our number of daily users growing or shrinking? Let's say you are running a business, okay, and you really want to know whether your customer base is growing or shrinking. Shrinking का मतलब क्या है? आपका customer base कम हो रहा है या बढ़ रहा है? How you would be able to know? If you maintain a data and if you query to a data, आप लोग अगर डेटा के साथ कम्युनिकेशन करोगे, डेटा के साथ प्ले करोगे, देन एंड देन ओनली यू वुड बी एबल टू नो इट. अगर आप लोग डेटा स्टोर नहीं करते हो एक सिस्टमिक फॉर्म में, अदरवाइज इट इज गोइंग टू टेक अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम एंड यू कैन नॉट afford to lose a time when it comes to businesses, because in the businesses everything changes within a seconds. Now you guys might be aware about the trading market, right? There you know the value of the decision making, right? So this question, if I want to answer, again I am going to query or I am going to ask a question to what? A database. Now let's say you guys might be using the various application, like you guys might be using YouTube Music, you guys might be using Ghana, you guys might be using Spotify or any other application. And let's say the Ghana CEO, जो भी गाना एप्लीकेशन का सीईओ है, उसे पता करना है कि which songs are most like songs a user just had played. How they would be able to know? They would be able to know because again these guys are going to store the data which songs you are playing frequently. Okay, so this is how a SQL come into the play. Making sense, everybody? What is the importance of a database management system or a structured query language?